If your space station was hurtling out of control, about to kill everyone you've ever known and loved, what would you do? If your answer is, find your favorite pop star and help him perform the first rock concert in space, Zenon Girl of the 21st Century is for you. One of my favorite all-time genres is sci-fi. Some of my formative years were spent watching Battlestar Galactica or Back to the Future, and in the late 90s, my family got cable television, and my world would never be the same. Because in the late 90s, Disney was churning out banger after banger. You've got Brink, you've got Halloween Town 1, not Calabar's Revenge, just the original, not yet. But in 1999, Disney decided that what preteen girls really needed was a high-concept sci-fi film all their own. And I also watched it. Now with this video, I really wanted to cover the whole Zenon cinematic universe. You got Zenon Girl of the 21st Century, you got Zenon the Sequel, you got Zenon Z3. But as I got into this movie, I realized there is just too much material to cover in just this one movie. Or as Zenon might say, I started writing the script for this video and I went into meltdown mode major. So this video will only be covering Zenon GOT21C. That's what the fans call it. Our very first introduction to this world is maybe the best opening shot to any movie ever. The movie opens on this handmade clay sculpture of protozoa. We'll get to them. With absolutely no indication as to what this is or why it's important at all. I think I like this shot so much because it's a perfect metaphor for what we're about to see. Something that's just slapped together. It's kind of hard to look at, yet 12-year-old girls of a certain time period will find extreme sentimental value in it. We are quickly introduced to Zenon's parents, who are scientists of some sort.
We couldn't do our experiments anywhere but a space station.
Because you need a lab with the weightless chamber, I know. Hi, Cleo.
And her best friend, played by Raven-Symoné. By the way, the second best actor in this whole movie. We're also introduced to the fact that they are on a space station. And I'm not a scientist or anything. I think they're orbiting a little too far from Earth. Like, this is a view from the International Space Station today, and this is a view from the moon. I think they're a little too far out. But our first real introduction to Zenon herself is her sitting up out of bed and yelling her catchphrase.
Cetus a penis!
Yeah, her catchphrase, which is clearly a futuristic expletive. Took a page out of Battlestar Galactica's book there.
Oh, bruh!
I'm glad they're pulling in some sci-fi tropes. So Zenon, she's not like other girls. She's running into the captain of the ship, she's crawling through vents, she's making friends with the lunch lady. She's just like us. So finally, Zenon gets to class, where they're learning about
President Chelsea Clinton.
Did I mention this was made in 1999? This movie takes place in 2049, and I like the fact that even though their teacher's a hologram who can somehow see through the hologram, their computers are still from 1999. Like, they just gave an ergonomic mouse, and that's why it's futuristic. Although I'm pretty sure that this movie invented AirPods. She finds out that Protozoa will be coming to play the first rock concert in space, and they're going to choose one very special girl to come up and dance with them on stage. And she cannot contain herself. But, oh no, Mr. Wyndham, the owner of the space station's coming to space for a visit. And everyone better be on their best behavior. Zenon. What, you thought this movie was taking place on some kind of diplomatic international space station? Nah, this movie's about the private space industry, baby. If you want to learn about government space programs, you're gonna have to watch the sequel. So Zenon and her friends are supposed to be taking it easy, flying under the radar. So they go back to Zenon's house and they just bash Earth people.
You gotta watch out for germs, speeding trucks, earthquakes, madmen, muggers. Down on Earth, people with runny noses are packed together like microchips.
Yeah, I've never even sneezed. Earth's gravity adds about 30 pounds to you. Can you imagine, Planck?
I just realized something as I'm recording this. Zenon is building the model of Protozoa, so that opening shot, that was supposed to be her. Anyway, and after they get done degrading an entire planet's worth of people, they decide to go break the law. This is the definition of a gang. A gang is a group of friends with a defined leader or claims control over territory in a community, engages in illegal and possibly violent behavior. That's them. This is a gang. So they steal some stuff, and Zenon, having to see the solar flare, decides to go out the airlock. But her dad catches her. And even though her shenanigans are making her mom fry her brain with an anti-stress helmet,
That is the third time this month you have pushed her into the stress helmet.
her dad is one of these Disney Channel cool dads. He's like, it's all good.
You have to admit, it was pretty stellar.
Yeah.
Mr. Wyndham arrives on the space station, and during his tour, Zenon runs into him as she runs into everyone.
A pleasure to meet you too, Zenon. This is my assistant, Mr. Lutz.
And immediately, for no reason, decides to start mad-dogging him. She gets mad at him because he tries to connect with her on a human level. Then she's just super condescending to her parents' boss and this very nice man.
The life your very generous support has created for me and my rads, the experiments, the research we get to watch, the amazing teamwork, the unique view of the universe. Thank you, Mr. Wyndham. Thank you.
But spoiler, she's right. Oh yeah, and she wins the protozoa contest with that weird clay doll. So Zenon, while she's diving in a trash compactor, as you do when you're in space,
Don't just stand there, try and brace it with something.
sees Mr. Lutz trying to break into the main control area, which is restricted. So she confronts him, he doesn't get in, but now she's on their radar, and he's on hers. And the next night, she decides to follow him around again, but this time, she has a plan. She's gonna sneak in behind him in the main control area and watch what he does. He puts in a tiny disc, does some stuff on the computer, hears a noise, leaves, but he's trapped her in the main control room. A restricted area. Zenon, because of how much of a sweaty mess she is, can't get out of the control rooms, so she just panics and starts pressing all the buttons. Who's the dumb Earth kid now, Zenon? She's in real trouble now because no one believes her about Mr. Wyndham and Mr. Lutz, and her father tells her she's grounded.
You don't get it, Z. We're grounding you.
I understand that.
No, Z, I mean, we're really grounding you.
Literally. Oh yeah, and Mr. Lutz randomly drops that tiny little important disc, and Raven-Symoné finds it, turns it into an earring for Zenon. If this all seems like an insane amount of explanation and exposition, and you're wondering, when is this movie really gonna start? Yeah, we're 40 minutes in. Whew, been on Earth too long. So Zenon gets off the space shuttle, she joins us Earth fatties in trying to struggle against gravity. Then she tells her parents' boss,
You know, you may fool a lot of people, Mr. Wyndham, but just know, you don't fool me.
and she makes the crucial mistake of showing her earring to Mr. Lutz. Then she goes to meet up with her Aunt Judy, gets in her Volkswagen Beetle, because in this future, Volkswagen new Beetles are the only thing that people drive. Now is the introduction of her Earth friends.
Take a look at what's coming.
From the moment he sees her, Greg just stares at her. This is his technique. He's just staring in the background.
Pay attention. So like I was saying, in this store I have like the most powerful graphics.
This is a meet cute if I've ever seen one. You just stare with your mouth agape at each other from about 5 feet away. As the kids would say, Greg is a straight up Riz King. Okay, he's getting this girl with one look. I mean, look at that center part. And then comes the best insult I've ever heard.
But I guessed you were simply getting a 6-month head start on Halloween.
You win. It's the Halloween thing. Now, lend me that mask you're wearing, and I'll have the most hideous major costume ever.
This next section of the movie is what I like to call Zenon doesn't understand anything about Earth. She doesn't understand flowers, she can't swim, she doesn't understand Fahrenheit, bananas, oranges, money.
175 what? Oh, money. You must mean money.
Earth slang.
Macro's a good thing. Micro is bad. Viral is nasty. Graphic is beautiful.
Excuse me, but I studied my schedule and nowhere on it does it say anything about taking a foreign language.
And she is terrified of horses.
I thought you weren't scared.
But of course that fear doesn't matter when Greg's around. He teaches her how to brush a horse. And he even takes her for a horse ride. So Zenon and Greg are hanging out a lot. They're down by the river. They're eating onion rings.
That gives a whole new meaning to the term O-ring.
She drops a casual O-ring reference, which, just to be clear, is a reference to the Challenger space shuttle disaster that killed 7 people. In fact, this movie makes that joke multiple times.
You'd fully blow an O-ring if we had to return to Earth, huh, Mom?
While they're hanging out, Greg, casually holding an iPad, sort of accidentally hacks into the mainframe of Mr. Wyndham's company and realizes that they are actually about to go bankrupt. So they need to figure out what's on this little earring disc So they start to experiment, and pretty soon they discover this. Zetus Lapidus indeed. The inventors of this computer virus saw the need to animate a little worm burrowing into your computer screen, which is just 90s hacking at its peak. So Zenon, with all of this proof, calls her parents back, and they still don't believe her, even though the space station is starting to shut down and actually fall out of orbit. And Zenon does some hacker tricks of her own when she gives Mr. Lutz a fake disc which does this. Zenon calls Raven back at the space station and warns her, and you have to hear this dialogue, because I haven't included that much of the dialogue in this movie, but every sentence sounds like this.
The attitude thrusters are all messed up. The whole base has been going through these wild plunges and scary dips. It's been awful.
Oh, Neb.
Look at you. You're alive, passive and gaseous. Tell me all about it.
I'll tell you megabytes when I see you. But listen, everybody up there is in danger mortis, and my parents are living on planet Denial. I can't get into all the inky details, but I was right about Wyndham. He put this gunkball nanovirus in your computers. We tried uploading the undo disk from here, but we can't. The only way I can possibly help is to get up there with the disk.
Zenon and her friends find out when the next space shuttle's taking off. Before the friends leave to go get a shuttle to take Zenon back to the station, her and Greg have an intimate moment. Zenon, ever the upfront gal, tells him to kiss her. Oh, this is the worst moment in the whole movie. So they bump their teeth together. And then she says immediately, "Would you like another try?" But then the phone goes off. It looks like they're setting this up for a big kiss at the end of the movie, but this is actually what we get. They are just too late. So they honk and scream at the shuttle as it flies away.
Oh, wait, come back, please. Look over here.
It's the little details in this movie that just, like this sign for an underground smoking tunnel. This is a future where they haven't gotten rid of smoking altogether or made it healthy or something like that. They just put the smokers underground. But now we're tying all these threads together because they realize the band Microbe with lead singer Protozoa has to make it to the space station for the first concert in space. So Zenon breaks into the Wyndham headquarters where Protozoa is giving a press conference before he leaves, and she meets up with the man, the myth, the legend, Protozoa. Protozoa is what makes this movie worth watching. He has so much charisma. Every guy wants to be him, every girl wants to be with him. He's the best. Look at that haircut. People will bring crazy camera helmets just to film him. So in the Wyndham base, Zenon sneaks backstage, meets up with Protozoa. He realizes she's the contest winner, so he allows her to get on the space shuttle with him. And then he's so charming that he convinces these two security guards that are after Zenon to become rock stars themselves.
You gonna be Wyndham's monkeys for the rest of your lives? Or might you consider a career in rock and roll?
Rock and roll.
All right then.
Zenon makes it to the space shuttle. Mr. Lutz and Mr. Wyndham are close behind, but Zenon saves the day with the disc, and Mr. Lutz and Mr. Wyndham get arrested. Everything is resolved, so in Disney Channel original movie fashion, we end with a big musical number. And Zenon, the great friend she is, gives away her dance with Protozoa to her friend Raven. The character's name is actually not Raven, I just don't know what it is. I call it Raven. Aunt Judy gets together with Commander Plank. Her parents are happy and make a weird joke. And like I said, she gets to blow a kiss to her love over a screen as he does that same creepy stare. And just like that, Patrick Gozer's love of sci-fi movies is cemented and Zenon has saved the day. Thanks for watching. If this is your first time, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you soon.